My mother looked me in the eyes and asked me to take care of her. After everything she had done, she actually asked me that. And for the first time in 31 years, I smiled at her without hatred, because I already knew exactly what I was going to say. I was 2 years old the first time my mother decided I wasn't worth keeping. My brother Mark had just been born, and the way she tells it, I was difficult, rebellious, too much to handle. So she handed me to my grandparents and walked away. Not temporarily, not while she got on her feet. Permanently. I became my grandparents' child, and she moved on to the next one. That's the part that never left me. Not the absence of her. I got used to that quickly enough. It was the replacement. The ease of it. Like I was a first draft she decided wasn't worth finishing. My grandparents were everything she wasn't. Patient. Present. My grandfather especially, the kind of man who teaches you things with his hands and never raises his voice. He gave me the childhood she couldn't be bothered to provide. I owe him everything. But she was still there, at the edges of my life. And what she was building in that house, that I couldn't ignore for long. By the time I was 13, my mother had 4 children and a new husband. My stepfather's philosophy of parenting was simple. If a child questioned anything, you beat the question out of them. He wasn't subtle about it. He did it in front of her sometimes, and she watched, and she said nothing. I stopped trying to understand her after a while. You can only reach for something that isn't there so many times before you accept that the hand was never coming. What she gave me instead of love was labor. Weekends, while my grandparents were away, meant cleaning the house, doing the work 2 adults refused to do themselves. At 11 years old, I was on the roof clearing gutters, climbing trees with cutting tools, work that had no business being assigned to a child. I did it because I had no choice. I filed it away because someday I might. I was 14 the day everything changed. My mother and stepfather left Mark and me to watch our little sister, Alicia. She was 2. We were sitting with my stepfather in the living room, and at some point the thought arrived, quiet and cold. Where is Alicia? What followed was chaos. Every adult in that house scattering. My father burning his hand on the stove. Mark and I tearing through the house, the garage, the yard. We never checked the pool. My mother's scream is something I won't describe. Some sounds you don't repeat. Alicia didn't make it through the night. Mark and I carried that for years. My grandparents told us it wasn't our fault. They were right, and it took a long time to believe them. Because the fault had a name, and the name wasn't ours. 4 years later, I was 18 and finally close to something that felt like a future. Mark was 15. He'd broken his finger badly enough to need surgical pins, and the pain medication he was on was serious. Managing it carefully wasn't optional. It was the difference between recovery and catastrophe. My mother was supposed to be watching him. My grandfather picked me up from school that afternoon. I knew from his face before he said a word. We pulled up to the house and I saw the paramedics, the stretcher, the body bag. Mark was gone. The rage I felt that day was unlike anything I'd experienced before, and I had known rage. This was something quieter and colder and far more patient. This was the kind of feeling that doesn't burn out. It calcifies. It becomes something you can carry. I decided right then that I would carry it as long as I needed to. Here is where I hand it to you. A woman failed her children catastrophically. 2 of them died under her watch. 1 was taken by the state. The one who survived spent his entire life absorbing the damage she created, and then spent 13 years methodically ensuring she would face it alone. Was it justified? He hid her medication. He took her room. He filed a tip on his own family. He spent over a decade engineering her isolation, not in a single act of rage, but in cold, sustained, deliberate intention. Some of you will say, he became what he hated. Others will say, she earned every second of it. But here's the question that stays with me. He won. He got exactly what he wanted. She is alone. She has nothing. Does he feel free? Drop your verdict in the comments. Was this justice, or did he cross a line even she didn't deserve?